Titanic. No matter where you do, you can't destroy the planet. They won't sink like the Titanic. Glorify his name, me betting. Glorify his name, me betting. Make we come together and blow fire upon it. Make we come together and blow fire upon it. No they worry about your house, your pretty car or your bling. No they worry about your house, your pretty car or your bling. To the entire metaverse lives. Glorify his name, me betting. Glorify his name, me betting. Make we come together.
Greetings in the name of all that is good. From the country of Belize, where it is 7 p.m. on a Thursday. This is our time. We do this every week from 7 until 9 Belize time. 2 hours time approximate. Sometimes when the discussion is heated, we go a little longer. But normally 2 hours is our limit. I am G. Michael Reed. I am the chairman pro temp until other decisions are made. We like to remind you that on this show we have no scapegoats, no sacred cows, no agendas, no fear, no favor, no politics, no religion, none of that. They're discussed, but not. There's no hard line as such, no intent to convince anybody of any opinions that are ours or condemn any that are theirs. We invite our listeners to get in touch, um, type in a little comment or questions if you have anything regarding what we're discussing, or even if it's something you'd like to hear us discuss. We're joined every week by our co panel, Jeremy Spooner. He likes to refer himself to as just a private citizen, Spooner. He's, of course, an Englishman by birth, Belizean by choice, and with a lot of information, he's had his finger on the pulse of the whole Belizean culture for a long time. We're joined also each week by Mr. Joe Cowie, former mayor of Belize City, former minister of government. He's been in the public service for many, many years. He has a load of information, and we try to pick his brain from time to time on specific issues. Hailing from Los Angeles, we have checking in Gregory Morrison. He usually comes in a little tardy after getting off the hectic San Francisco, no, San Bernardino highway. We have to find out which one he takes. Pasadena. It wasn't any joke when I was out there, and it's no joke now, I'm sure, because the traffic is multiplied by about 10. We have our issues here in Belize, and in fact, one of the big issues now is our bus and transportation problem, where the bus owners are demanding a raise. They want tricky situation because about a couple of years ago they proposed a national bus company. I have to get somebody from that group that can explain to us because it seemed like a common sense thing to me. Of course, there are those who suggest that monopolies of any form no good and that competition is necessary to keep prices stable, but I don't think so. In fact, we don't have a monopoly in water. We don't have a monopoly in light. We have been fighting for a monopoly in the telecommunications business. You know, BTA was attempting to buy Smart, which is stupid because why did they start Smart to begin with? Just to have a monopoly? So then why now is the monopoly not again necessary or even wanted? I think there are many issues there that has to be fleshed out, and we never did come to a conclusive agreement as to what what was best or what was sensible in that case. I certainly didn't see it sensible for the government to spend a whole lot of money to buy something back that they facilitated. They they sold that when not sold, they allowed Smart to begin a company with after the Ashcraft fiasco, where you know he made a lot of money. I don't know if he's ever, if he's still paid the full amount yet, but a lot of money from a BTL, buy it for and leave it, sell it for a lot. Then the government never want to pay him. And then he got a court, and the government wind up to pay like some $90 million, just interest alone. And all the while we to take the licking, we sit down to take the licking. The bus company now, an announcement was made today that they would not raise the fares. And in fact, I heard the chairman of the bus company, bus association, they said a group of buses that did not want to join the national bus company. They decided they want to remain independent. While they're independent, of course, um, they also still want some of the benefits that are gained by the national bus company. Well, corporation, of course, can do more things. They buy parts at cost that's less than if you buy an individual. If you buy it in bulk. Anyway, without further ado, let me introduce our co-chairman, Mr. Jose Coe. How are you, Joe?
Well,
Yeah,
I just get a promotion. I hope
yeah, man.
I hope I get a raise.
You're seated at paycheck this coming week. Don't worry about it. See why I got your back. You're good. How things, Joe?
I am. I was doing some little research today,
Uh-huh.
and I came to the realization about not Trump, but people like him.
Mhm.
And I remember the distinction clearly when I was doing my studies between a leader and a manager. And I realized that evidently he has been promoted or elected.
To leader or manager?
He was promoted beyond his level of competence and character.
Oh boy.
I think that he was a manager, not a leader, and he did well in management because he was dealing with real estate. Now
Well, not really. He bankrupted a number of companies.
he
He,
did, but
he,
in the
he,
end, I don't know. I read the book, The Art of the Deal,
uh-huh.
and I don't know how he did bankrupt. So he knew how to beat the system, and then he did a lot of things which were illegal. He was taken to court. But the bottom line of it is that I realize today that when you look around in the world and we are looking for leadership, and we look at the leadership at various levels, because the leadership begins right within the family.
Is Trump a narcissist?
Yeah, I would think he is. I think people who will behave with that kind of ego are usually narcissists. He really sort of in love with himself.
Yeah, I think yeah.
Um,
Obsessed with himself.
Right.
Past love, yeah.
So
He wants his picture and everything, his statue everywhere, his
yeah,
name and everything.
that's right.
But why are the American people allowing him to get away with that?
But I don't know if they're allowing him to get away in the sense that
Well, he's getting away from the fact he's getting away, and they're there.
you are right. You are right because the Congress, who was supposed to keep the executive in check,
Uh,
evidently is not doing it because of their heavy partisanship.
okay.
And then you have a Supreme Court, which itself had caused some problems in the sense
Next
of
way, I'm going to put a pause and introduce our guest who is in the house already, Mr. Bilal. Bilal Amir, is that first and second name Bilal? You gone already though? What you gone on the internet? Must you jump out pan or something? All right. Well, you must say come back in. He pressed the wrong button there apparently because he was in the picture. Yeah, Joe. But I know there have been moves, and in fact, there have been. All right, here you go, Bilal. What going on? You hit the wrong button or something?
Yes, I greetings, my brothers. Just some little technical things I get used to.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I get used to the string connection so much that
the way they do things, in a different way. Yeah.
yeah, it's not that. It's just that I was trying to get on my. I'm in my studio and I
Mhm.
was trying to enter through my computer, but I was having some problems. 'Cause I usually get the mess. get links through WhatsApp. So, but here we are.
Yeah, yeah.
We could.
Well, I can see you and I can hear you, so that's good, no?
That's good.
Uh,
That's good. Yeah. So I'm gonna just do
let
it
me
right
let
here.
me let me see what this guest is talking about here. I guess we'll be having a great pack show because this time there seem to be many fiascos taking place in this country that needs to be addressed. I just want to mention a few of what comes to mind. The policeman abusing his stepson was dismissed in the court. Amount of murders of late gone up simply and a few. All right. With the last one was fair. Yeah, we are gonna discuss those things. Um, Bilal, are you familiar with the with the any of those issues that he raised there? You
Yeah, I've been following the news in that
okay?
way. Coming from out of the diaspora, following the news events,
Okay,
and those particular two news events. Yes, I kind of have looked at
interesting.
them.
Tell
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
are you familiar with Joe Coy? Joe, do you know
Yes,
Bilal?
man. The former minister. Yes, man. Joe
Yeah,
Corey.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's
You never get no negative reports, pana. You not got nothing for those beans to spill. And
no,
I
no, no, not at all. I mean, the minister has done he has done well when he was in government. I mean,
okay.
that was a very constructive government that came into power there, and we serve the people now and serve our time. So
Yeah, man.
um,
Fill us in on what Bilal is doing right now. What you spoke about Naval String Productions, and I think that our other as a group that's working over there in some way.
well, Naval Stream Connection is a show sponsored by the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations,
Okay.
Minister Marla's ministry. The purpose of Naval String Connection is to bridge the gap between Belizeans at home and abroad. The ministers and the government that came to power, the Briseno administration, has felt that the Belizean diaspora plays a very significant role in the development of Belize, and because there has been initiatives that have been made before through the Barrow administration, 3 terms, having a diaspora desk, but nothing really concrete came out of that. You have known G. Michael Reed, the work that we have done with myself and Hubert Pipersburg, and with trying to raise the Seventh Amendment thing, which was a very critical issue. But now we are at the point where this government feels that they wanted to sort of make a more advance the progress of getting the diaspora back into the development of the country of Belize in a more serious way. This show, the show Naval String Connections, I mean, came about going for 3 years now on that platform. It's a show that is produced by Nur Mohammed. XTV is the executive producer of that show. But the purpose of that is to tap into those Belizeans abroad who are the movers and shakers in the community. Belizeans in the United States or Belizeans abroad in everywhere. And so what we have done, the show is hosted by both Aria Lightfoot and myself.
Mm-hmm.
What we have done so far within over that 2 years is to sort of try to find those voices in the Belizean diaspora, not necessarily only in the United States, but across the Caribbean, Africa, Asia, the United Kingdom, wherever Belizeans are that are living in any part of the world and they are doing constructive things. We have tried to invite Belizeans to come on the show who are serious and want to make a contribution to the development of Belize in whatever way possible. The messages that we have tried to send out is to you don't have to come home to Belize to live there to make a significant contribution. You can make your contribution as simply as a professor teaching through online classes at UB, if you're a professional in that particular area, if you are a business person, an investor, someone who you don't want to really live back in Belize again, but you want to make a significant difference, you want to contribute to scholarships, we want to bring you on so we could talk about that. The Belizeans from all different walks of life who don't want to live back in Belize, but they want to make a significant contribution to the development of Belize itself. We also serve as a medium and as a voice for those Belizeans who are trying to repatriate, who are trying to go back home to Belize to live. These Belizeans, a lot of them are not people who may want to be involved in any kind of capacity, but they're retired. They want to go back. They want to relax. They have already developed their properties. They already built their homes. We also serve that voice. The Ministry of Diaspora Relations have a very significant um, office through the ambassador Sunday Murphy in Florida, and through the program, they have programs through Miss Marla, who runs the office there at the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations, who serve Belizeans in the diaspora. Quietly, a lot of people don't really know about the work that they did, but they have been doing significant work. I think there is a group, I forgot what the name of it, but there is a diaspora group of Belizeans that meet significantly, consistently on a monthly basis to talk about how they have been able to provide these sorts of development resources for the development of the country itself. And that has been going on now for the last couple of years since government took power, no? I think it's being that I have been involved with Belizean diaspora events for the last 30 years as an activist in the Los Angeles Belizean community, the home of the largest Belizean community, Belizeans that live abroad in any part of the world, Los Angeles. And from what the mayor Karen Bass has recently told us, who's the mayor of Los Angeles, that Belizeans in the diaspora are the largest black immigrant group. You have Latino immigration and you have black immigration. Belizeans are the largest black immigrant group. What we are trying to do is to get that group to understand politicking, how to take advantage of where you live in any part of the world to hustle for your country. Because Karen Bass asked me, she said, I asked her how you know this, and she mentioned that the Belizeans in Los Angeles vote for her in her constituency. The largest Belizean community is in her constituency. This is when she was a congresswoman. She's now the mayor of Los Angeles. And these people have these significant statistics to know.
Her name
As
is
in
Karen Black, you say?
Karen Bass. Karen
Bass.
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 Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yes.
Is she black or white?
She's a mixture of her grandfather is Mexican
Uh,
and black, so she's mixed.
okay.
She has a mixed heritage of black and Latino heritage.
So
So
apparently you guys have been in touch with her and you have a relationship and she's aware of what you're doing and what you're
very
trying
much
to
so.
do. Is that, yeah.
Belizeans are the one that also contributed to bring her into power as mayor. All right. So they went from voting for her as a congresswoman. She said that it is the African diaspora and the entertainment industry that sent her to Washington. They're the ones that is responsible for her there.
I
And
hope
then
all
when
owner will vote for authorize the vote for her. 'Cause there's one person I know that me gonna vote over there. I know I'm supposed to vote. I don't want to call no name, but we understand that they run into a lot of trouble. So it's good to know that you guys are supporting a candidate there that seems to be in touch with what your interests are.
very
Um,
much so, very much so. And she's very much whenever she's campaigning, she never leaves out the Belizean community.
Wonderful.
When she was campaigning for mayor, she made significant visits to the Little Belize restaurant, which is the hub of the Los Angeles Belizean community in South Central Los Angeles. They are
Mhm.
located in Inglewood, and um, they are a significant part of the Belizean community because they have a restaurant and they have one of the largest business establishment. They are recognized in the city of Inglewood as a significant place where Belizeans meet. And so Bass would current Bass would go there and campaign speak. They would give her their venue to present herself, and not only her before that, but you had councilman like Councilman Robert Farrell, and we have a history that goes all the way back to the 70s.
There was a
Diamond
Belizean,
League,
wasn't there a
yeah,
Belizean
yeah.
congressman one time?
No, no, there has never been one, G.
There was
Michael
a
Reese, and
Reverend something in New York. I believe he
I
was
think
a part of.
maybe New York or so, but in the Los Angeles Belizean community, they have
Yeah,
not been one yet. I
yeah.
remember when Mayor Zenaida Moya, organized Mayor Zenaida Moya's visit to City Hall. At the time, it was the Mayor Antonio Villagrosa, the Chicano mayor. He was the
Mm,
mayor of Los Angeles at the time, and in 2007, we took the Belize's first female mayor to City Hall, Zenaida Moya, and she had a very warm reception, very warm reception, and she got the key to the city and all of that. But significantly, during that very visit to City Hall, a very important issue came up. I was asked to speak to the business section of City Hall, um, on the behalf of the mayor, Zenaida Moya at the time, and the business guy who's responsible for our businesses, because they were trying to see how they could help Belize in all different areas, the Belize city itself. And he asked that what the Belizeans have, they don't really know what is happening to the Belizean leadership, their government. He said because they have made significant visits to the city hall. George Cadle Price with Reardon, Mayor Reardon, got key to the city, which was a very significant one. But he mentioned a very important thing. He said, these Belizean leaders, they come, but there is no reciprocity. They go back and they totally don't respond back. There's a sister city relation that is built. And if
mhm.
you just build that, get key to the city, and you return and you don't do anything back, then what can they do? They won't follow up. And I think that he said that has been the problem. And he wanted to make a new initiative when Mayor Moya had visited, that they want to make sure that this relationship continues. He says because of the past ones that have happened before. Particularly, I was talking about George Cadle Price's visit as the Prime Minister of Belize to the City Hall of Mayor Reardon. Mayor Reardon passed away. That he was after Tom Bradley and those very outstanding Los Angeles mayor. And so I could speak mostly about the city of Los Angeles, where I have worked as a Belizean activist, community organizer for many years, but I can't really speak of New York and Florida and Chicago and those places. But the work has been significant. Nehemiah also went to Inglewood, where she also addressed the Inglewood City Hall, and she also got the key to the city there. The city of Carson. I think she was one of the most important Belizean leaders that made a significant uh, contribution to build sister city relations for Belize, right? But I think the problem is that we don't follow up. I think that I compliment the work that Mayor Wagner is doing, because he has made built significant sister city relations with cities like New York and Houston, and he has followed up
Has he
on.
been up to LA? Have you guys taken him
He's not
to?
up to LA yet, and we are working on that because I serve as the liaison officer for the Belize City Council for Los Angeles. There are several liaison. The diaspora, we have this Belize City Council have what you call the Hubert Pipersburg Diaspora Help Desk. You remember Hubert Pipersburg, who works
Yeah,
as an
yeah,
economic consultant in the office of Bernard Wagner, of Mayor
yeah.
Bernard Wagner.
He fell victim to COVID in
He
the
was
early
the first
stages.
COVID victim. Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
indeed.
yeah, yeah.
And
Now I
he
wanted to
played.
ask you about another first that you mentioned, and Joe. I saw Joe. That Zenaya Moya is the first female mayor of Belize City. Is that true, Joe?
Is that so?
Yeah, she was, to the best of my knowledge, the first.
I think Norma Fuller had served as mayor for a short time, but I don't think she was
And then,
elected.
no, what happened is prior to the popular vote for our mayor, it was just the nine running, and then the nine will select who would be the mayor from among them.
Uh,
And there were instances where women were on the slate and won, but
yeah.
they were never really elected by the rest to be mayor,
All right.
unfortunately. So we had a lot of females in the past who were councillors.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Jeremy is joining the show. Private Citizen Spooner. Bilal,
Yep.
do you know Spooner?
Yes, man.
Yes.
I've known of Spooners. Yes, man.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. He just wrote a nice article about my friend Richard Ramirez, Charo.
Yes, man. That's my brother right there. Yes,
Well,
Yeah.
man.
that
I.
now another
Yes.
now another thing that you've been doing, Bilal, is you've been highlighting the contributions of a number of Belizean past and present.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
you've jumped into the sporting arena from time to time also and get some athletes there. But I like what you suggesting here with the diaspora because well, as you know, I spent considerable time over there on both the East Coast and the West Coast. And what I had seen then was that while we had a lot of Belizeans over there was no cohesion as such. They would have clubs that we would all party at and together, but after that, there was no and there was no real interest in back home then. It was about staying over there and making what you can for yourself. The fact now that there seems to be an unselfish move to get everybody over there involved and see how we can help to build Belize and move us forward as a country. No, is that how you
Absolutely.
would? Yeah.
The
Yeah,
Hideaway. I think the Hideaway was at 105 on Western, right? I
yes,
think.
indeed. Yes, indeed. The
I used to
hideaway.
go
Yes,
there. Yeah,
indeed.
I used to
Yes,
go there.
indeed, Spooners. There is a
The
whole
only
history
white boy,
there.
the only white boy in the crowd there, G Mike, you're that proud.
Yes,
If
yes,
you be
yes.
called up, man, be two white men in the crowd.
Yeah. But
Yeah. Go
G.
ahead,
Michael
Spooner.
Reed goes way back. We knew him as the monk in Los
Yeah,
Angeles.
yeah, he's an
Um,
old boy. He old. He look young, but he old.
I told Gary Sharon G that
Uh-huh.
I'm writing a piece on the monk, and
Oh boy.
I can't get past the second paragraph, right?
Oh, I never asked you to involve me on the two paragraphs, but
If you
I
need
can't.
any information, please contact me. I got a lot of things on
Yeah.
demand. Yes.
But G Spooners, what I remember, we knew him. We knew him, and he was always this brilliant philosophical mind that passed through the
Yeah.
Sharons. And
What happened?
I remember him very well, and I love the return back to Belize and what you did, G, because we remember you when you in Los Angeles and you were constructive. You had this philosophical thing that I used to remember. I used to tell Greg Sherem, I'll never forget when the monk said, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Right? And I
wow.
How
remember
long you
you
lived in California?
I've been living
Mike?
here since 1981.
Oh,
Since
81.
81.
Okay. That's when
Yeah.
I went to the States too.
Yes. And so the history of Belize, the community here, goes back to what I think G. Michael, Minister Cowie, and Spooners, you have to sort of look at like you said, people were just meeting, but when Brother came on the scene, my organization, we were the one that developed media, radio station. We were building alliances with Chicano movements, um, different movements. Beyond what the regular Belizean organizations were doing, like CBA, just
Oh, CBA,
yeah,
Consortium of Belizean.
right, Consortium for Belizean Association,
Who was
which
the
was
head
run
of
by
that? I met the
people
gentleman, a
like
very
Roland York, the former Consul General of Los
okay.
Angeles, to the late Roland York. But we were able to move into, we wanted a voice for the people. There were little newspapers which we started, the Belizean Focus, but there we went beyond that. The people needed a voice, so we went to the Pacifica Radio Network, KPFK, and I sat on the board of KPFK from the organization, and we got a 2 hour show, right? Because KPFK is listener sponsored, non commercial, free speech.
Yeah.
No commercials run that. And that's where my journalism and my broadcasting came from. I was trained.
Yeah.
I'm a Pacifica Radio Network trained broadcast journalist before I even
Okay.
got a degree. Right? I was trained under them, and they have a whole different kind of journalism from mainstream media. And so we got on there. We had 2 hours on Friday mornings, and we produced that show. Nur Muhammad was our best host. When he
Yes,
came
I
along
remember. I used to listen every Friday on
every Friday
public
morning
radio,
from 9
and
till
this
11.
Pamela Raboto or some a lady used to be with him,
After
Pam
Nur
Reyes or
Muhammad,
something
then it
like that.
was
Who used to
after
be with him?
after after Pam, it was I mean after Nur Muhammad went back to
Ah,
Belize,
what happened?
Pam took over. Pam was the host. Pamela Reyes, her name was. Pamela Reyes.
So,
And
Bilal, obviously you're involved a lot in the Los Angeles area, but there are also big Belizean communities like in Miami now and New
yes,
York, of
yes.
course. Are you guys communicating with each other and trying to come together as one diaspora?
Well, right now the brainchild of Most High in making the Belize Diaspora Summit possible over the last 2 years, we saw the purpose of the Belize Diaspora Summit, which was born out of the idea when XTV came to Los Angeles and we started to produce shows on Belizeans in the diaspora. The idea of a summit came about and it materialized in 2024 at the Marriott Hotel, and Belizeans came from all over the different states to the Belize Diaspora Summit, the first one, which was in Los Angeles. Very successful. Many ministers of government and ministries of government came, including the Prime Minister, Johnny Briceño, was there. But the purpose of the Belize Diaspora Summit is to sort of be like an umbrella, like the Consortium for Belizean Development used to be. You remember, you've heard of the Consortium for Belizean Development? Which was the architect of that was people like Bert Tucker, who then administered Golson, and then later on Eddie Lang, who came aboard and constructed the bylaws of the Consortium for Belizean Development, which was an umbrella Belizean diaspora organization that served the entire Belizean diaspora, all the states in also to help develop Belize. The
Give me a
yeah.
minute to introduce our third host, the fourth host actually of the show, Mr. Gregory Morrison, who has been with us. Who for that what Gregory always remind us. You talk about you guys who have been here 3 years. We've been here 4 years, correct, Greg?
Yeah,
We've
you
been here
all
a
longer
little bit
than
more than
yes,
4 now.
And running.
yes,
Yeah, we're what
yes.
no, but certainly we're happy to have you on again, Bilal, and we want to talk about all the issues happening over there, and then some that's happening on this side. But now,
Yes, yes.
what are some of the future plans for the Belizean diaspora? And I see now you seem to be getting assistance or at least cooperation from the government in Belize, correct?
That's absolutely true. Yes.
So you think the government is doing well, I don't know as much as they can, but certainly more than they used to, correct?
And this government has done more than all the other governments in the past. The Briceño administration has made more inroads with the diaspora than both the Barra administration and the Musa administration
Hold
before
up now, because I see Joe smiling, but Gregory is frowning. And
No,
and
no,
And
no.
when,
Actually, it is the truth. It is the truth.
when I get the opportunity, I would want to really address the issue of the diaspora because I want to tell you I was extremely involved for many years as the mayor of Belize City, as a minister of government, and as a businessman. And my first engagement was in 1970s, but I want to put it in the context that I believe it should have been. To me, over the years that I have been involved in this kind of relationship, I get the belief that it is more like a philanthropic type where we look to you all to do things for us. I try to instill in the symposium when you had the doctor, what's his name? He died. I visited there twice, Los Angeles and New York, to address the.
Dr. Lane.
it's Dr.
Professor Lane.
Bennett.
Huh?
Dr. Bennett?
Lang or Bennett?
No. Leng was involved. I knew Leng very well. We did some work in New Orleans.
Then it was Dr. Bennett.
No man, this he was the head of the symposium, the president, and we
Uh,
had he had invited me to address them in New York.
no Bert Tucker.
Regional Park,
Oh,
Dr.
man.
Pike.
Dr. Pike.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes,
then
Dr.
I
Pike.
forgot. Okay.
But the point I wanted to bring out is I think that the approach we have been taking, I don't think it will. We have the potential. The potential is there, but I think we have to do it more on a basis of reciprocity. It's not just
But Joe, they're not 2 to 1.
well, the concept I am going to explain,
Uh-huh.
and I'm saying to you that no relationship that we would want to do has ever built other than pan reciprocity. And the Jews are a good example, whatever we call them. They are a very good example. Now, the point I was trying to bring over as minister and as mayor with Dr. Pike, we need to look on it on the basis of reciprocity. It's not what you all can do for Belize, but also what Belize can do for you all.
Yes.
So I agree that we get the University of the University of California to work with us. We get support from you all in the dialysis area. We had a Dr. Tucker that I visited all the dialysis centers and
Yes.
helped us in Belize to set up a dialysis center here. We were building a thing with the university where, again, through the technology, we would have been able to do the imaging in Belize, and we use their radiologists to give us the findings. So we gone pretty far. But all the years I have been involved in this thing, except at one period when I was more in the private sector as a businessman, it was always what we can get from you all.
What can we give to them, Joe? Give me an example of some of the things.
All right, the way I introduce it to them, there's a group. I worked twice with a group and it never did happen. Today, we have about less than 3% of the commanding heights of the economy in the distribution sector controlled by groups that came after, specifically Indians and Chinese, when in fact it should have been the Belizeans. So what I tried to do was to get them to involve themselves in the economic aspect, the business side of Belize. Invest in the country. You don't have to be living, you can do it through companies. And the first one I tried, we were to do it in Belize. It was to be a mall. And we reached the point the company was formed. We started the investment into the land. But when the time came now to move to the next stage, I didn't get the response. I believe that the opportunity is there. There is no doubt that the people in the United States, Belizeans, can help to develop Belize, and Belize can help to develop them. But I
Absolutely.
always think that while in education, you have helped us in health. I think the time now is for us to move beyond and get into business. At the end of the day, gentlemen, it's not sounding as if though money is everything, but we cannot live without it.
Yes,
But when
indeed.
you have investment in your country, when you have investment in this country, you become more tied to it. And that is the way
Yes.
I would like for us to begin to look at.
Yes.
A lot of it we are doing is more symbolic. More symbolic. A lot of meeting.
Well, we might have moved
I want to
beyond
speak
that.
to that. I want to speak to that, Joey Coy, Mr. Joey
Sure,
Coy,
man.
because I
Yeah.
was a Belizean before I was the pioneer of the first money transfer service. And I want to talk to that particular area that you're talking about in the area of investment, because there has been complaints that I hear you when you say that they believe they didn't come to the next level when it's time to now move now to invest. And I remember being an entrepreneur for like 29 at the age of 29. Um, coming with the idea of being a pioneer before Western Union and MoneyGram and investing in the money transfer service. It was called Bellum Communications. And I got in and everything, set up my offices both in the United States and in Belize itself. But we were having significant pushback from government for myself because I was creating currency exchange and I was creating jobs, right? Creating jobs for young people. students straight out of sixth form who were running my offices down there. But I was saying that in the era of concessions and tax breaks, the Belizeans that want to invest in the diaspora is not getting the same kind of treatment like those Belizeans, like those the Americans and the foreigners who come in and invest. I remember trying to get a concession, and I was told that what do I need with a concession? Right? What do I need with one? And
What you
and and I
carry?
was like, why do we treat our own? I remember when I was trying to get a license, the governor of central bank tell me, what you want with a business like this? This kind of business belongs to the banks. It's like we Minister Joko, you were seeing this resentment, and I want to talk about that. That though government is willing, we have people on the ground, the technocrats and so forth, and that are putting roadblocks in the way of the diaspora. And many investors, Belizeans in the diaspora that became investors, talk about this problem and they pack up and they come right back. They roll up their businesses. We
What?
have to have a better business environment, better incentives, the same kind of incentives that are given to the multimillionaires who come in and get tax breaks and concessions and to operate freely without any time. This is not afforded to the Belizeans who are investing in the country, and many Belizeans have come in and over the years and have made investments not to have to survive 5 6 years and then roll it up and then leave because of how they were not getting the same equal treatment as other investors. And I would ask you to speak to that because I
I
think
would
that is
like
one
to.
of the problems.
I would certainly like to. What era or what year were you referring to? What decade? What period?
That is the 90s, right? And I also cite in the 80s, you were having Belizeans who were investing in the 80s and they were warning those who were trying to do it again. Man, you better be careful, They don't this, they don't cheat us. And I think that atmosphere of resentment, I don't know if it's I would want to say resentment, but that atmosphere of where uno not get the same kind of treatment. Uno go with that.
But do you think it might have been because the demands were a bit high and unreasonable, or
No,
do you see
I
some?
talk from
No,
my own
no,
self as a
no.
businessman that you know.
Yeah, yeah. But could you allow me then to answer to what you are saying? Because I
Yes.
know for a fact I was in government for 20 years first, up to the point of becoming financial secretary. And I was very much involved in fiscal incentives. We were, because we had to be monitoring them. And I cannot remember under either government that they did not give support to Belizeans who wanted to invest in Belize. That's why I find it strange. In fact, the case of the New Deal company, which I had organized, we had everything, we had all the fiscal incentives. We got
Okay.
support from the Caribbean Development Bank, who lent us money. Then the DSC could have only lent a certain. So I do not know of any instance under any either the UDP or the PUP where they had ever treated foreigners, Belizeans in particular, because the fiscal incentives were there.
I'll agree with you, Joe, because I was in California in the late 80s. George Price, Winston Smiling, Ralph Fonseca, Said Musa, Glenn Godfrey came to California, and they had a big meeting, and I got a fiscal incentive to. They were encouraging Belizeans to come back to Belize and invest in Belize, and I gave them a list. Ralph said, write out a list and so on, and we'll see what we can do for you. And they helped me out to bring in stuff without the. I think there was a 13% stamp duty at the time, and also with the import duties. So. Maybe you missed that part, Lyle. But I remember them coming to California and meeting the Belizeans abroad.
Yeah,
You see,
there were very so I have met Belizeans who had tried, they got their concessions and they got certain things, but then there was also those who um felt that they were not given that incentive. I don't know
I
um to a large extent across the board how many of these Belizeans that that had their businesses failed their investments failed and they left they left disappointed. But
I, I
there
I
think
there
think
you,
there
maybe
are
Lal,
some.
you're
Yeah.
Bilal, you're maybe thinking about those big American investors that my investment was not no big $1 billion investment. You're probably thinking about the big $1 million that when they get 20-year concession, duty exemptions, they don't have to pay any GST for so many years, 10 years or 20 years. Maybe that's the kind that you're thinking of, these big $1 million investments. Maybe that's.
Let me just come back if you don't mind. I will pull back right
Yes,
up. How when I
yes.
start to talk, I get too upset. I want to follow up. What happened? We, along with the CARICOM countries, felt that our approach to development for the region was through the fiscal incentive, quantitative restrictions, and import substitution. So we were driving the economy this way, and we wanted Belizeans to participate. And I'm telling you, we went to the point in my case. I actually formed a company, UT Limited. We built the hotel right on the land now where the princess is. But the one or two Belizeans that were trying to get involved were said that they had some money. In the end, they backed out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know for a fact that under both governments, they were all willing to give the fiscal incentive support, and that was
and,
one of the
and
areas I
I
had
think
pushed it. I had pushed it a lot because my argument to the government, even before I became a minister, that if we get Belizeans investing in the country, then it's true that they will be more tied to the country.
I
Absolutely.
think we would
Yeah.
have to examine that on a case by case basis. And Bilal, I want to see some of the cases where they were in fact discouraged or turned back. No,
Yeah,
because
that will be good.
because obviously, I mean, it a good thing. And if I know that coming home, any Belizean coming home can bring everything they need duty free. I know
Oh yeah, I
that
had that.
continues.
I had that. I moved home to Belize with my entire family in 1999, from
Mm.
1990 to 2003, and everything was. I had my entire household items that was cleared, duty free. Everything came in, so that I know has been a very very good thing, and I know that it continues today, where Belizeans are going home and all of their household items that they're bringing from the United States or whichever part of the world are duty free, because I was one of those people. I have had the opportunity to be both to have investing in Belize itself. I have created jobs on currency exchange. My business lasts for like 10 years, and then after that I came home to Belize and lived there again and operated inside the country as a Belizean citizen again. And so I know there are um, favorable conditions for Belizeans
But
in the diaspora. But I still think, Minister Corey, that there's that it's a work in progress, and I feel that
You think more
it
can be
can be
done?
better. It
but
can be better. Yeah.
can I elaborate on that one? We passed
Yes.
what you call the Retired Persons Act.
Yeah.
It meant that you have to be earning at least 25,000 US a year to qualify. Though that was for mainly even foreigners, the Americans, to come
Yeah.
home to help develop. And
My
there were
parents came in on that. Yeah.
right, there were people who were pensioners, and they would bring that money, and they would be allowed to invest in Belize, so they could bring even down to a boat, one airplane, and all.
But they couldn't work. But they
No,
couldn't work.
no, at first, but then we relented on that because we wanted them to invest. But what was happening? We had Belizeans who wanted to come, but never qualify under the Retired Persons Act. So what they did, they provided a special permission through Foreign Affairs to let Belizeans come in who didn't qualify under the Retired Persons Act. So I think we were doing everything to try to encourage the Belizeans to come and invest in Belize.
Yes, yes, yes. I totally agree with you with that. There was great incentive, the attraction, and I think that I also want to say the role the consortium for Belizean development played in that it also helped in bringing a lot of those investments. Belizeans became more interested in coming back home to Belize to invest. The consortium, which was like an umbrella organization, provided that. And I know quite a few that came in and under the consortium and was satisfied. I want to also champion the work of Prime Minister Musa when he was the Minister of Economic Development. And I want to say that he played a very significant role in the diaspora, and which should go down in history. In that, when Adalbert Tucker, which became the Minister of Trade and Diaspora, Minister of Trade, the Caribbean and Africa, when he introduced the Top 10 program, the transfer of knowledge to expatriate nationals. I don't know if you remember that program, Minister Koi,
Yeah, I did.
but Said Musa jumped on that program right away as the minister and gave that program a lot of support, which also brought in a lot of Belizeans to come home, invest, to contribute in various sectors, education, business, and all of that, because it was an idea taken from the United Nations of taking, Bertoka had looked at the United Nations work, being that he was working there and he saw this program, which a lot of countries around the world was using, and he introduced it to Belize, and the government at the time, to Minister Musa as the Minister of Economic Development, I think at the time, totally embraced that program, and I think that's what one of the other significant aspects of the diaspora work that has to be given to the to that government at the time when he served as that time. And I could also talk about the Esquivel administration, which uh, which the consortium was the first time a consortium was formed under the Esquivel administration, which was totally embraced. And at the time, the first consul general office in the consortium was born in 1985, established here in Los Angeles, where organizations came from all over the United States, Belizean organizations. But it was also the first time at the time, Prime Minister Barrow at the time was the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He made it possible that Los Angeles had the first consul general office that was the first in any part of the United States in the Belizean diaspora. So that also the, the government of Manuel Esquivel has to be given credit for the work that they have also done in reaching out to the diaspora, the building of the Consortium for Belizean Development, and also the establishment of the first Consul General office in Los Angeles at the time. That Consul General was Paul Warren, the late
That's
Paul
right. Yeah.
Warren,
So
right?
we've had
Uh,
some things that have been happening. Would you say that we've hit a lull? We're continuing with the progress. I know there's room for improvement, but have we used it as stepping stones going forward, or have we just do little things from time to time and then they just fall by the wayside and nothing more happens? It seems now that you guys are intent on making sure that doesn't happen this time. Um, is there a plan in place? Are
I,
there
I,
goals?
I go with what Mr. Coy has been saying, and I have said where the visit to City Hall with Antonio Villagrosa, when the business manager said there has to be reciprocity, Minister Coy has echoed the same thing. If we don't have reciprocity, G. Michael, where both where government is providing at home the incentive, but we have to respond. We have to respond in the diaspora. We have to be more aggressive. We have to be more assertive. We can't be playing, as the minister Corey just said, that we set up everything for you and then you fall back. And this is what the business section, the guy who run the business section of City Hall in Los Angeles was saying. You Belizeans have a history of not having reciprocity. Your government came here before and got key to the city, and we didn't hear anything from them with Mayor Raiden. Now you have now this new one, and he's saying, "Who is this Belizean the community that you are talking about here?" And I had to get up and speak and educate him, and he said, "No, I understand. No, I know." And but he says that there is a history of reciprocity, and I think we have the same problem with our government at home. We have
Let
to,
me
right? We do it. We leaders, our government come out. to the to the comes abroad. We get key to the city. We get promises to well, I'll help you with your city. I will help you with your country. But those governments, according to the Los Angeles City Hall, you go back and we didn't hear anything from you. Minister Coe is saying, as a minister, we invite the Belizeans. We have fiscal incentives that is set up for us at home, for them at home, but they are not being forthcoming. They are not be coming in and being serious about wanting to get involved with investments. And I
Well,
think, G. Michael,
I
that
think,
is, we have to get beyond that problem on
can
both
I add,
sides to address the
sorry, can
problem.
I add something here very important for all of us to know? When I was the minister and I visited, Rayong was the council, honorary council for Belize. You know Mr. Rayong? He was.
Roy Young, yes, the late Roy Young, yes,
I
very much.
visited him when I went there as minister, because I had met with Dr. Pike. I had met with Leslie. Dr. Leslie was there. The Governor General was there. So we had a meeting, and I said to him, listen, I want you to begin to document something. Evidently, we will go to California, LA, and so New York, where the bigger communities were, even down into Florida. And we had another council who would do it there. And I asked him to document for me the human capital that we have, Belizeans. You will be surprised to know, one, the human capital, and how many of them are business. I was surprised to know that there were many Belizeans, millionaires. They're in their
Yes,
millions with
yes,
businesses.
indeed,
Look
yes,
at Greg
indeed.
right there. Look at Gregory right there.
Ah,
Greg has passed
Yeah.
millionaire. He's up in the. But the important
You're
point,
right, Minister Cole. You're right. You're right.
the important point for us to know that the resources, the human capital, the financial capital, is it with our people over there,
Yes.
and we could get that here.
I want to add to you that the visit of George Caleb Price in 1992 to Los Angeles. At the time, Ernesto Castillo was the honorary consul, was the consul general of Los Angeles. I don't know if you were a minister as yet, Minister Coy, in that time, but he had a state
I
visit
was
where he
just
brought Glenn Godfrey and a couple of his ministers in the cabinet. And he was given a California tour of all the Belizean businesses in California. And I was on that tour. And I myself was amazed to see how many Belizeans were running major companies, manufacturing companies.
that's
And
right.
he was visiting these companies and he was taken on this tour. That was the same time he was taken to City Hall to meet with Mayor Reardon. But I myself, who have been in the community for all that time, and so we were traveling with the Prime Minister. We were in the same vehicle with him and visiting these major companies. And that's when we realized, and he was saying the same thing. How come all these Belizean businesses are there? You do so well here. Why can't you do good over at home? Why can't you do the same thing you're doing here? Every business he visited in California, because this was not a Los Angeles tour, this was a California tour he had. And he was always saying to them, look at what you're doing here. I know you have the American dream and all of that, but why can't you do the same thing home?
If you
Bring
were to
those ideas and invest them
if you were
in
to
Belize.
hazard a guess, if you were to hazard a guess, what would you say were some of the things you said that one of the things is that you don't think they get the proper incentive and they don't do the follow up. But what else is there? You believe there's still a resentment between Belizeans at home and Belizeans abroad that makes it difficult for them to engage in such
I I I
enterprises?
I I still do feel that there are two incentives for, and as Schooners was rightfully say, you can't compare $1 million investment to, well, most of Belizeans come in, I think, as entrepreneurs,
Dead risk.
right? Entrepreneurs, they come in with some money.
Uh,
And there are lots right now that is talking about want to come in as an entrepreneur. given the right incentive to do so. They may not have the $1 million project in mind, but they want to start and create jobs and provide currency exchange. And I think they should be given not necessarily equal to what the $1 billion or the $1 million investor is doing, but they should be given fair treatment as a citizen, a natural born Belizean citizen. And I know Minister Cohen will say, well, yes, that has been the case, but I think that there is not a level playing field, if I may say.
Well,
And
you
I
know,
think that
you can say come in too, but then they have to have an idea of what you're going to come in and have to be a product that can provide something that the people want that will take off. But
a good point,
you
G.
can come
Good
in and
point.
say, yeah.
Good point. Because I think that a lot of the businesses, when we brought Spear out here, and Assad was looking at the ideas of, he had the same kind of tour. And he's saying that Belize want manufacturing. Belizeans are bringing service-oriented screwdriver industries. Belize don't need a lot of that. Belize need manufacturing so that it can export and it can add to the GDP, right? In a way, service-oriented economy, like tourism and things like that. Um, what when George Caleb Price saw the businesses that he saw manufacturing that could have played a more significant role in the development of Belize rather than these service-oriented in companies. And I think that predominantly most of those Belizeans that are coming in, myself came in with a service, the first money transfer service, right?
You,
Bef-
you,
um, there are lots of them that were coming in with service-oriented companies that I wouldn't say are not going to build economy, but what he was looking at from what John Caleb Price was saying to those companies, we need you like you because you are manufacturing a product.
well, you
And
know,
we have so much products that we can manufacture so we can export them to the
speaking of
United States.
manufacturing, because I always speak about Williamson Industry, which was a sewing factory that hired hundreds of Belizeans.
Right, G.
400
Yeah.
plus. Yeah,
Something
400 plus.
happened, they just pick up everything and move. Don't
Yeah.
you think that the diaspora then could have filled that void?
Absolutely.
I'm sure we could have had a couple of people say, well, we invest, even if it's buy for them machine without they have to carry it, or bring in new machines, but keep these people working. The government fell down on that at some point, and I've never been able to understand how they allowed that to happen. Joe, you had
Yeah.
any input on
Um,
that?
Before we get to that point, I wanted to add something quickly, Mr. Chairman, because
Uh-huh.
I see what we were saying about the diaspora in terms of involvement. But one of the big issue we face in the diaspora is our politics is very disincentive, because once it seems that they change political party, whichever party you came in under, when the next party comes back, they seem to create a vengeance and a prosecution against investors from the diaspora. I
And
don't
they
know
don't
what.
honor your concessions either, too.
Yeah.
I had
So,
that
so
experience.
that has created a chaos in the minds of Belizean American that would choose to go back, because the politics is so very unstable, and it's so put at risk or investment capital, because once they change, you're out of favor, and that
But
is something we
it's
need to.
petty. That
Yes,
sounds petty.
it is.
I
It
hope
is.
that I know that I know the political thing, but you know which is sad that it's all over, and that red and blue, which you got it Republicans and Democrats, you got it the PUP and UDP, and you also have it at the street level with the Crips and the Bloods. So that red and blue thing, and I don't know if we ever get past that color thing. And yes, if that is happening, that needs to be pointed out. And Bilal, you need to be working on that and bring that to the attention of those politicians there, no?
Yeah, but can I ask
Yeah,
a question here?
it is
I
a
think
true
it's
thing, and
important.
it plays out. it plays out big time in the Los Angeles Belizean community. We see whenever a new government comes in, may it be from the PUP or from the United Democratic Party, the consul generals will change. A lot of things will change. The dynamics will change, right? Um, I had liked the role, and I would say that that's not necessarily true throughout the decades, throughout the time, because we have had consul generals like, and I have to give him credit for that, Ernesto Castillo, who did not care which party you aligned with, because Belizeans brought their party politics with them in the diaspora, and we can't take that away from them. You can't tell people, well, you're not supposed to be this or you're not supposed. They go home and they vote for their parties. That's the next thing again.
Yeah.
That's one thing you can't really take from them. The party politics is there and is there to stay, but you have to work within that. And I think that Ernesto Castillo was able to. He was very revolutionary in that he was able to work on both sides because he was the member of the CBA before that, and he used to have to work on both and try to work with both Belizeans from both sides. The people kept their political affiliations quietly to themselves. But he was very instrumental. Our organization, brother, we were like that. We don't care what kind of political party you came from in Belize. The thing is, like, work for the people. Let's work for the on the behalf of the people. So I
I
think that though we had that idea, we had that stigma on us, and I think the governments may come with that. I think that it was not always the case. Belizeans were able to organize, set up community life across the board for the Belizean people without any kind of who are you, what kind of political affiliation that you
I
are. Yeah.
I would like to disabuse some minds who may be listening in that while I would agree that the partisanship today in Belize has gone too far, it is. But I will say this: during the period of the PUP government and during the period of the Esquivel government, there was democratic efficiency, which is necessary for development of every country. You can't have a party that support universal access to education and the other party comes in and cancel it. That's impossible. You can't do that. I can vouch for the Esquivel government and I can vouch for the PUP government if I was the Minister of Health. The diagnosis for the health system was done under the Esquivel government. And when the PUP came to power in 98, the diagnosis was finished. And then we did the design. And that was democratic efficiency. I would have liked to hear from anyone who can say that a fiscal incentive was taken away from them. I cannot see how that was done. A fiscal incentive is a piece of legislation, a statutory instrument, which is it says a law. You cannot cancel it unless you violate it. Then you have the fiscal incentives, which may be under the Customs Act, which the minister just gives. But I have never heard of a case that either government have cancelled any fiscal incentives. But I
Well,
think
I'm saying in the minds of the, because of the politics, because of the sheer rancor of our politics in the mind of the diaspora, that is a concern when I talk to other members of the diaspora. And you brought up a good point. Healthcare. One of the cleaving issues for diaspora that wants to move back to Belize is always our concern about our healthcare systems, the disorganization, the inefficiency of it, the lack of technology, and to some degree, we know we have great doctors and nurses, but we seem to have a system that is lacking and uncommittal in many ways in trying to improve. And that is a big concern when you think, as you know, as you move back to Belize now in a more advanced age, your concern is always healthcare.
well, Mr. Gregory, I will make you an offer. Find those Belizeans, and I'm willing to come and speak to them to tell them it is not true. I was
What is not true, Joe? What is
about
not
what they
true?
are saying about the health system in this country. I
Well,
was the, I was the Minister of Health.
yeah, but you're the focus on that health system, and Gregory brought it up as an example.
So
But
another,
let me say this. Belize on a whole, the service providers have a lot to improve on, because, and I could see even in the health system, you got a hospital, you don't get the kind of quality care and attention that you would expect to get, and you not certain what you get in other countries. And I could speak of other countries like Cuba, Mexico, Cayman, but these people here, it's like they don't give a damn, and we have to change that. How are you going to change that, Joe?
let me tell you how. I spoke of the diagnosis and I spoke of the design. And I'm saying to you, I can vouch for it because I spoke before the Pan American Health Organization in Washington and I presented the design for the health system with Dr. Vanzi, who was the Director of Health Services, and we had a standing ovation. I presented in the symposium in Los Angeles to Dr. Pike. I was coming back from Canada. I spent 2 years in Canada looking at for them health system, the NHI side of it. I spent weeks in Cuba looking at their health system, which is one of the best health systems in the world, which the Surgeon General of the United States gave credit to in Mexico City. Now, the issue about whether we provide the quality and whether the professionals are what they should be doing, I agree there is a problem, and I could tell you how the problem started. We had already completed the rollout of the NHI for the whole country under the PUP of 98 2000. I signed all the contracts to roll out the NHI to finish. We got the Cubans. I myself was engaged in getting the Cubans to sign a treaty to provide us with medical doctors because we never had enough. So always the PCPs need one medical doctor, no specialist. They gave it to us. So we finished. We signed the contracts. I, as the minister, signed it to roll it out. The government changed in 2008. The then coming to the party that came into power, that was one of the biggest failures they made in this country. They canceled those contracts. And it's from them the health system, what was designed, begin to go down. So to say what you are seeing there now, I would not disagree. I do believe that what is designed in a 50, it was a 15-page paper, and out of that came thousands. And that was financed by the Inter-American Development Bank with $20 million, $3 million just to the design. So we do have a very good health system. Yes, it breaks down, and I told you why it did. I would want to invite the Belizeans abroad to give us what is their concern, indeed, about the health system, because I think we should. I am beginning to see some. I am beginning to see some setbacks. But why? Speak to the doctors. I just spoke to three of them yesterday. One of my pediatricians, one of my OBGYN. Three of them were talking with me. And of course, they are expressing concerns. And I agree with something that was said about the Carlos scan.
Yeah.
But
And,
the
and, and
system,
you
I
know,
think
the,
it is
the
very
other thing,
significant that, in words to address Minister Corey's uh, point there, you will have to probably bring on this show Dr. Bulwa, and people like Dr. Greenidge, who have worked in the Belize medical. I think Dr. Bulwa at one time, he's now at Harvard, and Dr. Greenidge works here out here in the United States. But both of them have worked in the medical field in at the Kahushna Hospital and have worked across the board in the medical field. In terms of them now looking back at Belize and where they are, and I have had conversations with both of them, and both of them have been on Naval String Connection to talk about issues like that. In that it is a concern, as Gregory rightfully mentioned, and that Belizeans, one of the first things that they talk about in wanting to return home to live in Belize or to retire there or to go back there as a investor and so on, is the concern of the health system. Um, but I think that it is exaggerated because
extreme
I have lived there again, and a lot of Belizeans have not lived back in Belize again to see how true that is. We are hearing the stories, we are reading the news, and it gets it gets blown out of proportion about the state of the Belize medical situation. I myself, again, I said I have lived back there. I have situations where family members of mine, their lives were saved right there at Carl Hushner Hospital on a simple visit to Belize. A daughter and my wife. And doctors right there at Carl Hushner was able to provide this the life saving. And so I looked at it and I was like, yes, man, look at this. We look at this little hospital and we give it hell from abroad. But until you are put into the position where you have to go there and where you're like, man, you know what? I don't think I will get the kind of service. And when you get there, you get excellent service.
Well, we also
Um,
have some private
and
hospitals
as a
that provide.
Belizean, you know,
Well, I was about to mention that, but Mr. Chairman, Dr. Bolwa is a personal friend of mine. In fact, I spoke at the launching of his book, A Doctor Can't Make You Healthy. Brilliant guy. We were very close friends. Dr. Greenis is like a member of my family. Very good doctor, extremely good. It's unfortunate that both had to leave. But I can tell you this, our doctors, I would say, are very good doctors. Our nurses are very good nurses. A matter of fact, the Americans used to come here to Belize, have a place up at the Fort Church to come and try and use our nurses to go. We get some of the best training nurses the Caribbean countries get in this world. Trust me. Our doctors are well trained, well trained. We have very good doctors. You have a hospital, no, it's private. The healthcare partners, the Belize healthcare partners. If you go there, of course, that is owned by the billionaire, no? Ashcraft. But that's a modern almost hospital.
Well, medical association nobody there no.
That's right. Then you go to the Carl Hushner, where my cousin, Dr. Adrian Coy, are doing things there that we don't believe that Belize can do. We are. So I would say that where I think we are making some breakdown is in the administration side of it.
Not only that, the frontline workers, the people you meet upon entering the hospital, not got the kind of personality. You don't want sick and go to someone and tell them, sit down here and wait.
and you know
I
what, too,
agree.
G and Dr.
And I
Cole,
will also say, in some instances, the upkeep of the facilities, those are concerns at times. That the
but Greg,
facilities
you know
is not.
what? Greg, I made a comparison. I work at Drew Medical School, where what they would call Martin Luther King Hospital. Here you have both in Belize, they're giving a good doctor a bad name, Carl Hushner, right? They call it. And then here you have in Los Angeles in South Central Trauma
Yes,
Center with all the gang warfare and the trauma of these young men shooting up and killing up each other. I was a part of that institution, not only the hospital but the medical school, which is
yes.
named after a man that
Carl,
founded
yeah,
how to keep the plasma. And I look here, when I look at Martin Luther King Hospital, I was saying, boy, Belize to worry about how then look watch the state of that.
well, I
That
think they have made significant
they had
improvement
to
on that
tear that down
facility.
and build one new one. And now the
Yes,
new one is the same way. Because wherever you find, and I want to address this, I think that hospitals like Carl Hushner, they are in underserved communities. And the same thing with Martin Luther King Hospital. How do you administer to the underserved? I think the problem with Belize is in its medical situation is how do you administer to the underserved? And I learned that at Charles Drew and working at Martin Luther King Hospital, that you're not going to get the same treatment at Martin Luther King Hospital that you're going to get at the big UCLAs and the Kaisers and the so forth, because those are in underserved communities. And I have to congratulate the Cubans who came in and
yes,
were able to provide medical care for the underserved.
yes,
Because Belize is having this situation where our young men are shooting up and killing up each other. Trauma, trauma.
yes,
Every day one of them are dying.
yes,
And I was making the comparison because here I was running a medical program for professors, which I met a Belizean professor at the University of Charles Drew, and who and I was talking about the comparisons, and he was saying the same thing. We complain about Carl Hushner being in, but we are not looking at what the population of service of people that it is serving. It is serving an underserved community,
Yeah,
right? The
I
rich
understand that. I
people,
understand that,
the
Bilal.
rich people can go to medical associates and all of those. But
I
where
under,
are those poor Belizeans who don't
yeah,
have
I
this
understand
kind
that.
of right?
I
Yeah.
understand that perfectly. But still, the underserved or the privileged deserve proper care. They deserve to have proper linen in the hospital. They deserve to have medication, just basic that's needed to help their trauma. And it is true we are overtaxing the system by the constant gang violence that's entering that facility and depleting its resources. And
You're talking about the two places also, making comparisons, but
yes,
that Jew hospital you're talking about with that
Martin
drama
Luther King,
center
yeah.
in that area, you can go there and see how many cases you have daily of
yes,
Yes,
people
indeed.
getting shot.
yes,
And yes,
Yes,
indeed, there's a big
that's
difference as far
that's
as the among the people we're dealing with. But at the
but
same
still,
token, while hours every gunshot gets headline news, you don't get that in Los Angeles. You don't get that everything that's gonna be focused on trying to make the government look bad because depending on what
right.
media house, that's a part of it too. And the media in Belize
Yes.
is gonna have to realize what they do in just
Good point,
highlighting
G.
bad news. I mean, we have to look at some of the good things sometimes, you know.
yeah.
Yes,
But
I
indeed.
would
also
say
Agree with you.
one of the
I,
issue the diaspora faces is the targeting crime that they seem to impact them when they're in Belize, and that is something I am hoping that um, gets improved somehow because it seems like whenever groups of Belizeans goes home, they become a specific target of criminals,
You think
and that
so? I don't think so. Even tourists don't get many of these killings and things that are happening are between individuals who have beefs with one another. I don't think the Belizeans don't target tourists and they don't target the diaspora people coming home. I think they're more perception and more reality.
but
Go ahead, Joe.
Mr. Chairman, I will support 100% for us to do a critical analysis of any institutions in our country, private and public. It is only through critical analysis that we can find improvement. Well, let me give you something now about Carl Hushner. Yes, there is room for improvement. Yes, I can say this that when I was a minister, we were in fact serving this country. And I want to give you an example, gentlemen. I think you mentioned it just so. I want to give you one example, and I'll give you one. There was an accident, big accident on the road. 6 or 7, 1 or 2 died. You know where these people go to? They're not going to medical associates. They're not going to healthcare partners because they're not going either. They have to put the money down first. Where
Mm-hmm.
do you think went? Carl Hushner.
Krishna.
You know what that accident cost us? $1 million. And that is supposed to be for free universal access at the point of delivery. So what happens with us? The strain that comes upon the public sector, sometimes indeed it is so disproportionate to the ability to provide. One of the important design of this health system in this country, if it should be followed on, is to reduce the need for secondary and tertiary care to cut down on the chronic non-communicable disease. That's why we strengthen the PCPs 100% for prevention. When we prevent, and if we had followed the path, if the last administration before this PUP had not broke the trend, we would have been getting better results. Is to cut the cost of secondary and tertiary intervention. That's the best health system in the world.
Your doctor can't make you well.
Well, ask Dr. Bolwa. He's a brilliant doctor. So is
Yes,
Dr.
indeed.
So
Yeah,
is Dr. Kelly.
gentlemen, make we all right. Make we stick with make we deal with some of the local issues because we talk about the gunshots and whatnot. Yes, there have been a number of people gone missing and come up dead. How, Bilal, you have done a lot of work with young men growing up and counseling them in reaching from boys to men, if you will. Where are we going wrong in Belize? What that is situation, and is it as bad as it seems, or are we really blowing it out of proportion?
Well, you know, I work as a teacher in the Los Angeles Unified School District. I teach in inner city schools. Um, I think that the problem that we see with our young men, and which predominantly young black men who are involved in this gang warfare thing, and comes from dysfunctional family structures. We have to look at the root causes of crime, as Dr. Gale came in and did that research. How much of um, the government have looked at that and have tried to implement some of the things. But I could speak of myself, as you are saying, as a person who worked with educating. I had, as an example, I had taught in Watts at a school called Jordan High School, where the projects are. These boys, I had to teach 20 boys math, algebra readiness. And they were ninth graders, first form. And then I walk into the classroom that day on this job. It was my first opportunity straight out of middle school into high school. I wanted to make a difference. And I took that job to do that. The first day they were gambling in the classroom. They didn't have no bags. All the rest of that, it's a good high school. Everybody's coming in with bags, but they don't have none. This is an intervention group. I also taught at EP when I was living back in Belize. I saw the same thing I saw at Jordan. I saw what was happening with young black males and Latino males in Belize, young people of color, as if we want to term it that way. And most of them are coming out of these underserved areas. I mean, how you gonna come to school without no bag? But they have a brain. And the first day I watched it for about 10 minutes, the gambling with the dice. I had a little bit of that growing up in Belize, the so-called bad boys. I came up in an environment like that. And so I looked at it for a minute and I broke it up and they were very respectable. They put back their chairs and put the books back. They had the math book in the center and all the chairs against the wall. So I asked them when they sat down. No, I was like, first of all, these are all boys. Where are the girls? They can't put them among girls. And all of them are gangsters. All of them belong to a gang in that area called Grape Street Crips, right? All of them. And in that class was 10 blacks and 10 Latinos, 10 Latino boys, and all of them were from the projects. And so I said, what kind of mathematics is gambling? And one of them raised his hand, one of them said, nigga, that ain't no math. And then the next one raised his hand and say, yeah, that's probability.
Yeah.
And I start to realize that these young men have a brain like everybody else. They didn't have no. So, you have to find ways. How do you deal with them? And I think that I was having a discussion with Nur Muhammad the other day, and I was telling him this story in terms of intervention. I think that Belize needs intervention programs in the school because Belize is dealing with a crisis that they don't have no idea, like COVID, what they're dealing with. And I think that the gang situation in the country has been there now for decades, since it has exported out of South Central into Belize itself. And I think that we don't understand it. We don't understand, just like COVID came, we didn't understand what to do with Hubert Pipersberg, and so he died as a result of it. It's the same thing with this malady, with this crisis. We don't know what to do. Governments come and governments go, but we are not addressing it. We are not addressing the root causes of crime. We don't know what to do. And I remember coming back in 2014 with a group of educators in the South. And I was struck to understand that the gang warfare had spread from out of Belize City into Punta Gorda itself, into Dangriga. We were going into the schools, and I was working with these educators in gang intervention because I was trained in that. I had to be trained in that when I taught at that school. You have to understand what you're dealing with. And by the way, two of those young men became engineers. you would have looked at them and you would have thought that you write them off. And I think this is what is happening in our society. We don't understand how to address that problem in the confines of Belize itself, not South Central, but in
Well,
the
you know,
confines of Belize itself. And
I had a conversation this week with a gentleman, happens to be a Muslim, by the way, Arslan. I don't know if you know him. He's with the Ahmadiyya group,
yes, Ahmed
but
Diaz,
they
yeah,
have an active basketball program.
programs
And
like that is good.
part of what they do, there are some things happening. Part of what they do is they ensure that the youths who partake do community service, they take counseling lessons and whatnot. My point to him was, yeah, but when you're done with him, they go back to that same environment where they have to live in. So the
Exactly.
problem is going to be addressing this at
Hey,
the root, at
and
the
big up your
bottom.
program, G. Michael Reed. Big up your program, man. You know,
I am, but I
big up
think
your
though,
program. You're on the right track, bro. You
I
on the right
remember,
track.
I remember one time that when I was working with the police, I recommended that they have a first-time mothers class where mothers who have been successful in raising good children and stick by on the right side of the law could give advice to the young mothers who the young girl, 15, 16-year-old girls who are getting pregnant and getting some advice as how to take care of those kids. But
It's called
unfortunately,
parenting program,
yeah, but what they
social
did
work.
then,
Yeah.
they took it and it morphed into a grieving mothers thing instead. And the lady who was put in charge had 7 children, 5 of them were killed with gun violence, and the next 2 in a jail. And I'm saying, we don't miss the point of what is happening here. We need people in charge of these things who have been successful in raising children and know how to raise children. So I think the problem is not if we keep looking at it and say, well, all of them get killed, they're in gangs and whatnot, but where do they come from? How do we address that root to make sure that root is being nourished and taken care that the trees grow
And
well?
you have a pilot project right there. They could copy that. You are doing a fantastic job. And I always, when I come to Belize, I said, man, you know what? I got to go visit G. Michael Reed and go see that program
But I would
because
hope, I am hoping that they will copy it indeed and have different parks throughout the city where you have retired people you have a lot of people that sit down now, they do not know Spooner right there could have a parking on one area side of him and then take the time for work with the kids and try to make sure every chance you get, because that's what I do, every chance I get for throw something in the ears, that's something for telling
oh
boy you go
man,
eat up, you could sit that one over there with a bum where you sit down, you could be here or you could be over there having a job and taking care of yourself and your family. So
I
and
am no
I think
scientist.
it's
Yeah.
as simple as
Mr.
that.
Chairman, I would like to give you my opinion about the problems this country is facing. Well, let me first endorse the silent revolution of G. Michael Reed of the Charles Burton Park. I must give him credit for that. And
Yes.
I will tie it in. You need no behavioral scientist. The world has proven. Your genetics can predispose you, but your environment won't predetermine you.
Exactly.
The first thing we need to address is the environment in which they are growing up in. When you're doing an analysis and evaluating a government, you have to know what is in fact the duty and responsibility of government. If you look at the budget to this country today, you will see how it is skewed towards infrastructure. 600 million out of a 1.7 billion. Evidently, that's disproportionate. How much is being spent on human resource? How much is being spent to create environment where you can begin to have mothers and fathers with dignity and pride raising children? We had it the time that I grew up in. Primary school was the highest, but they were going to Sunday school. They were going to schools. They respect their elders.
I think a problem is that we pay our politicians too much, don't you think so? And they give themselves raises for a
I don't.
poor country that not got
I
enough money
don't
for
think we pay our.
education and
I
health.
don't think. No, I don't think we pay our politicians too much. I think we don't elect the right politicians.
Mm.
then they might not demand so much.
Know what I'm saying? If you're going to pay for the office $100,000, then find somebody to qualify for the office.
That gonna give value for money.
Mr. Chairman, I want to be a little critical, but the truth about it, I think Shakespeare was right. The fault is not in our stars. The fault is in us, the underlings. How many of us take
No,
time?
that's not fair. You can't show that, pan we.
I am thinking that we are to be blamed more than the politicians.
Yeah, we have to share some blame, but
That's right.
you can't get them take them for that like that.
I want to give you my experience as a politician, as a mayor, as a senator, as a representative, as a minister. We are to be blamed for who we are. That's what we are.
I see it. I see the logic.
The politicians did not come from another space outside the country and come to Belize. They came from among us.
Well, listen. Let's go on to the next topic because that would segue right.
I thought you asked a question, and I believe that the answer. You don't need a genius to see. And look at
Hold up. Which question I asked that you object to? The one that I think politicians get paid too much?
No. I thought that you asked a very good question, and I thought that Mr. Bilal has been giving a very good answer. You're talking about what is it that is causing the waywardness of our children, and what can we do?
Right.
What was the issue? That wasn't the issue.
And what is the issue? What are you saying?
My answer to it is that from my experience, born 1942. The problem is in the environment that we have created. It's not in the genetics of us. It's not because we're black or we're white or we're this one bad and that one. No, it's your environment.
And you think all of us are responsible for that? We all created that environment, or are there just certain areas? Because not everywhere breed criminals like that.
But the root cause of that environment
is elaborate on the failures. You could be a person of dignity. You could be an honest person. You could be a knowledgeable person. But somehow you never read the pair of serenity. You don't got the courage to come forward and take a stand. Many of us, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Bilal, have had the opportunity to get the break to come out, get good jobs, make money. But we don't have the courage to go back to help bring out the rest. And who are to be blamed? We who didn't go back to help bring out the rest.
All right.
I don't know if we could carry that burden, Mr. Cully. I don't know if we could carry that burden because, survival in itself sometimes puts people, even when they are in a prosperous country like the United States, at pretty much the same helm as the people that are back home. It may seem for many that they are prosperous, but a majority of people are just living a very hectic and controlled life of their own.
Hand them out, we call it in Belize.
Mr. Gregory.
Better than hand them out, but still on a
Yeah, I know, but the amount of bills you guys have to face, yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Gregory, let me say something. You said just now we don't think we'll carry the burden.
Mm-hmm.
But development is not a burden. Development is a challenge.
I agree with you.
The burden is when we do not take up the challenge. Then we bring the burden on us.
But you were talking, and I want to go on to this next thing with this police officers, because I used to tell them when we were there that police officers not come, and you made mention to this, Joe, not come from space. They don't make them in our lab. They come from the very communities that they serve. We are, and when you say we are responsible in that way, we raise the kind of children we want. And this is where politics get in it too. When you are getting a man and job as a policeman because the family that from a certain political party, you they ask for trouble because you know the screen on properly and the man, the characters that necessary. So we have to look at that also. Now we got this thing with the police, we're gonna court, and while one to walk out and next one to walk in, two of them beat up the woman. Where did we get to that? One now beat up the child. And they're saying now that the problem because while the girl could drop the charge against the man, which is another aspect of this whole thing, then she can't drop the charges against him for the child because the child are all our responsibility and we, the community, are the virtual complaining in that instance. But now people enact the lady too for dropping the charges. But I heard the guy say on the video that he need take care of and me to provide you with everything, something to that effect. And I'm saying maybe this is what she's looking at. Why when do know after this man got out of jail? Who's gonna be my provider? He's my sole provider. Any comments on that?
Well, personally, I think that he should be taken out of the police force. He's disgraced the police force. If he can't even protect his own family, how is he going to protect us out there too? The standards have gone down, and I believe that he should be fired. That's my personal opinion. I don't know why she. Well, we see a lot of the women, the educated women out there, the lawyers, the women livers, and so on. They say that us men always keep blaming the women. Why don't I get out and so on? But we don't realize, like you just mentioned, that they're tied into a relationship and they have nowhere to go. They don't have a support system for themselves, and they're victimized on Facebook, and it's a difficult situation. To me, it's an easy solution. If I was in an abusive relationship, I would get out. If my daughter was, if my sister was, if my mother was, but that's me. But I don't live in those situations. You mentioned that if you go to jail, well, look after her. But that's her son. And if I was the father of that son, because the guy's the stepfather, I would do anything to get that little boy out of that relationship. Why is he not doing that? Why is he not now bringing a charge?
I don't know.
Do you
Joe,
think that the policeman should be ejected out of the police force for that?
I would
But
say that the policeman should be reprimanded and go to the point of being expelled from the police force. Now, the issue of the litigation in the court was aborted because of the woman. Now, ask ourselves, when a mother finds herself in a position where she has to tolerate the abuse by a man simply because she cannot fend for herself, that is a failure of us again. We are failing our people when a woman has to tolerate the abuse from a man because he cannot fend for his children. We are to be blamed. But
We've
I don't
also
know.
set precedent too, because there are ministers that are still running as standard bearers that have a history of abuse to women. How
But
come are they allowed to run?
when
Why
it's
are
not,
they allowed to run?
no, that's why they are allowed to run. Why do we vote for them?
But
that's
I think they
correct.
shouldn't be allowed to run in the first
Well,
place.
yeah. Well, the
I
qualifications to be an electorate is different than the qualifications to be elected, right? And that's where our responsibility as citizens and electors and um, electing them comes into play, because we shouldn't then be supporting that type of behavior that's abuses and goes against everything that that represents our community standards. But I want to say something about it too, because there's a legal process to do it, and I appreciate what the wife, the first lady, said about the issue. But I'm hoping that whoever is in authority act with authority and not do something just because there's a political push to do it, so that we as the citizens don't end up with an unnecessary bill that could be done in a proper way through litigation and proper formal ways of expelling that officer if it is deemed that that is the way to go. So, because we do want police officers, and we have seen abusive police officers in many ways. We just saw some beat up Budna, right? And how different is the violence against those people? We may have discernment on it. We may have discernment on it, but it is violence committed by authority against individuals and against citizens. In one case, it is a family member. In the other case, it's a member of the public. So we have to be careful how we make these things, and how, as apparent as it is, it needs to be put in the context of law and a legal procedure to make it work properly for us. That's my concern.
Well,
There's
I Mr.
one more thing before you go there, Joe.
Yeah,
My
yeah, go ahead.
sister said something to me that's quite pointed. Said, "Hurt people, hurt people." Um, Go ahead, Joe.
That woman is in a predicament, and she has my sympathy and pity. Let me show you why. I advocate, we all do, get rid of hands on policeman. The woman was tolerating her because of her bread and butter. He was depending on him. Now you get rid of hands on policeman, he don't got no income. What happens to the woman? I will go a bit further and to tell you how I would do it if I would have my way. This is when the state should come in to assist that woman.
And him too. Give him counseling.
That's right.
He needs counseling. But
And
but I,
find a way to help her. We talk about the principle of solidarity. We talk about we being Christians. We talk about love one another as he loved us. We can afford to give that woman the comfort and the children when they need. We can, or we should do it. Get rid of the
Well,
police.
there are many
Police.
victims like that, Mr. Cohen. She's not the only one. And that's
Ah,
where, there are many victims like that, of that woman. That's one example we saw so glaringly. That's our failure as a society to have a proper social welfare department that address the needs of communities, and we end up with ministers' discretion and ministers' handout. That is the system that has destroyed us and has caused the rot and has caused the decay, that now we don't even know where we stand on trying to help people that we see desperately need help. We don't have an infrastructure, a structure in place to make those social changes and assistance to them. And that's where we need to go back and look and see why we disassemble those systems and what we need to do to put them back in order and make them workable and not so dependent on political forces.
I
I
just
you need
want
agree.
to
a
say,
social safety net.
adding to
Yeah.
that, I just want to address that issue because I think we fail to understand that, like all these Belizean households that that policeman comes from, him being included along with that family, it's a dysfunctional family structures. Belize is now confronted with the whole aspect of dysfunctional family structures. Um, the behavior tells us that this family structure is dysfunctional. Not to say that we never had that in the 60s and the 70s when the years gone by. There was those kinds of abuse, both domestic abuse and abuse of father to children, father to children, with the mother trying to get between it. I come from a household where I got caned. You know, I grew up with a very strict father. Um, and so, but those family structures that was us was not dysfunctional. The family structures that we are seeing today are very dysfunctional family structures. I mean, the statistics are right there to show you, that on my picnic, and we had all of that. But we used to have fathers who used to raise children that was not their own, used to take on children. You could talk about many people, Belizeans, who
But
are
some men still do
who
it,
are
brother.
leaders.
Some men
Uh-huh.
still do it. But it seems to me we have overcompensated. We try to
Yeah.
make up for what we didn't have. We try to stop the children from being spoken to harshly or even hit, when in fact, there's sometimes when you need to be stern in applying discipline. So somebody just said that they don't think the guy should be lose his job, but that he should be reprimanded or.
Yeah,
Uh,
I believe that the proper protocols need to be followed.
uh,
I think that we are rightfully saying here that um, because he's a product of the system.
uh,
He's a product of the system. Maybe because he's a policeman, that means that we're gonna let him off the hook. No, he's a product of a system that has failed. A dysfunctional family structure, system of dysfunctional family structure that has not been properly addressed since the last 2 decades, where we start
if funny,
seeing these kinds of head of households coming up like that. I mean, he has a job, he works, he belongs to the police force.
But his
You
name,
know,
his name is Philip Garber Jr. And I know Philip Garber Sr. And if that's his father, that gentleman is nothing like him. Though I don't know
right.
what kind of family setting they had there. But
You know, when
sometimes
I saw that video, what first came to my mind, I said, if he would do that to a woman and to a little boy like that, and it was sad to see a little boy pick up a baseball bat to protect the
his mother,
mother.
yeah.
And that's when he slapped the little boy in the face. And I'm saying, wow, so if he's doing that to people he's supposedly supposed to love, protect, cherish, and so on, now I can understand the police brutality side of it, you know, of
Research.
when they get
But
suspects
it's
or
real.
whatever.
It is real. That there is police brutality and it's discouraged, but it's real.
I don't
Go,
like
go.
to. I don't like to make an interjection here. The families, too many families are dysfunctional, and I agree with that. But the era I think that we may be lacking in, generally us, that we seems to be looking at symptoms too much. The dysfunctional family is a symptom. We need to find the cause.
Cause the root
You
But
have
we
to
cause.
know
look
it,
at it.
Joe. Joe, I've been back in Belize for 30 years now. I've listened to three Black Summits in Belize, and they're all the big, very important celebrity Black people in Belize. The lawyers and so beat their chest, and we're going to do this and do that. And then they do one ras. They just have a symposium, make a lot of noise, and not, the problem is still here. Dr. Gale came here and he studied. We know what the problem is. Why don't they just work on it?
Yes,
He
but now,
Bilal is correct. It's dysfunctional family.
yes, no.
I look at my
What I
friends and their children, the people that I grew up around and so on. None of their kids are bad kids. And even though I come from I'm not with my son's mother. I'm a responsible father. I make sure my son is all right. But that doesn't happen in that part of society.
I
So
just
it's a
inject something.
dysfunctional family, and
I
we know
want,
that. So why we not doing nothing about it?
yeah, but what you are doing, Mr. Spooner,
Yes. What am I doing?
let me tell you where we are failing right now. I am talking that dysfunctional family is a symptom. It's not the cause. We know the cause, fine. But let's address the cause. How many of us stop to ever look at the budget for this country? How many of us stop to seriously take time out and say, listen, we are looking to reform the constitution? What part in it you'd like to change to see if we could address the problems? If the problems that the political directorate, which comes from among us, is abusing the rights that we gave to him, then do something in the constitution to allow the citizens to take action against any politician who did not live up to the constitutional responsibility. We need to spend more time looking for the how we address these problems because it's
I
easy to comment
I
and
think
it's easy.
the root cause, Minister Cowie, you would agree, is poverty.
Oh, I don't think it is a poverty. Poverty is a symptom again.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
see, we have to look at the human body just like how we look on the political body. When you see something coming out, maybe on your skin, you see maybe your hair dropping off, you begin to see certain things in your eye, you begin to see certain things in your urine, in your stool. It is telling you that something is wrong with you. So what you need to do, these are symptoms. Go to the doctor. Tell the doctor your symptom. Let him find the cause. He find the cause. Prescribe the cure. What is happening to us? We lack critical thinking. We go to universities, we get masters, we get bachelors, and we come out but we can't apply it. That's our
I,
problem.
Good point.
I think I think that part of the issue, as
That's a
Bilal
good
says,
point there.
may be
So true.
nested in poverty, but it's not poverty that's the cause. Because I'll tell you, as a family, we didn't grow up with much. But today, when I look at my family, I'm so impressed with them, and I just wish my mom and
Very
dad
true.
was here to see the benefit they had done through their culturing and discipline that they had set up for us as a family. Because today we have lawyers, doctors, medical doctors, nurses, engineers in my family. And I think if we had looked back at it just from the case of whether you had a lot of money or had enough money to take care of your daily needs, it would be far gone that no, nothing would come of these Morrisons. So
Did
I
you
don't.
get whipped? Did you get a whipping?
Oh shit! Every day.
Okay, well, you me different because you you have a bad boy. So no. But really, but see that there's a balance though that we're gonna have to strike. We have to. We can't let these children get away with everything and anything. But then we also can't be abusive.
That's
How
true.
do we draw that line and how do we teach a person to be discreet enough to?
You know, I think a lot of the families and parents today are under so much stress, like Mr. Bilal said, that they become frustrated, and so probably a lot of their anger acts out on the family and on the children, and that is what creates this deeper situation of poverty and then frustration and then loss of hope, and then we end up in this situation. And I think we have to blame TV and social media in some instances, to where the morals of individuals and responsibility of them seem to have been greatly lessened in terms of what you need to do. I don't think there's anybody that teaches any young people anymore about ethics and social responsibility and behavior.
See, I think a big part is that in our day, the mothers were at home, spending child, raising the children, to paying attention to what is going on. But now everybody they work. Even when there are two members in the household, the father and mother, two of them have to work to make ends meet, and it's more difficult now. So we have to
The
make the
society
adjustment.
has changed. The Belizean society
Society,
has
yeah.
gone through a transformation ever since the coming of the 1980s, all these maladies. But I want to go back to what Minister Corey was saying in terms of, he was saying that a lot of these things we are talking about, justice problems are symptoms, which is rightfully so. Some of the root causes is how do government addresses problems, social problems in the society, and I think it comes to budgeting. How much, if we look at the budget, how much has been allocated in budgets from in with whichever governments are in power? What has been allocated to address these problems? We allocate millions to infrastructure, as the minister was saying, rightfully so. But how much has been allocated to social problems that are malady in the society? That how much have we invested in the developing the human resources, which is young people, right? With some which is not born yet. And with those who are young today, D. Michael Reed, you are doing that. You are investing in young people, but that's on a very small scale. But how does government implement out of its budget, right? An equal opportunity, an equal amount to address these social conditions, because you're talking about the development of your human resource, your young people,
Well, you
right?
know, our government does spend a lot of money on education, an extremely large amount
Yeah,
of
but
our
it is
national
not only
budget.
education. It is not
No, but
only
I'm
education. It
saying
is
that it's so. You look at education
that
as
that
an
is one of
involving
the ways in how you develop your
the
human
But
social
resource.
development,
what are they being educated in? What
yeah,
does the education
That's what I'm
and
consist
saying.
of?
also they spend a
Like
lot
the
of money
minister just
on
rightfully said, we come
healthcare.
out with degrees. We got
Yeah,
this and masters and that. But is that developing human resource? What about the vocational? What about the other the way of developing, like I talk about these young men? Yeah, dude, that ain't no math. What you come in with that for? But two of them are engineers today, because you have to find a way, instead of writing them off, you have to find a way how to develop them. And
there's
that's
a
what
lot.
we as educators
Yeah,
were trained to do.
it
You
is
can't
a
do all
very
you come,
complex.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mr.
Let me,
Bilal, I fully agree with you. No, I will address you from a
hold on. Let me give one of our listeners a chance. It's a very complex issue. What she's saying. It's not only poverty. Domestic violence occurs among those with money as well. It's about power and control, lack of self-control, need for anger management. Are we
Yes,
gonna put that apart as a part of the educational
yes,
curriculum?
most definitely, most definitely.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe. You were saying something. I'm sorry, I cut you off there.
no. We have gotten into this what you call an input-oriented approach, which is a very passive type of approach to government too. I headed the reform. I'm one of the three for the reform for the CARICOM countries. And we spent over a year to prepare the way forward for the reform of the countries in the region. Botswana was also involved with us through the Parliamentary Association and through the European Union. Today, Botswana is way ahead in the world. Got the same exposure like we in the region got. The Manchester University did this study to show that the systems that we had designed were good, but we failed to apply them. You see that budget? The budget is still outdated. We were supposed to have changed it already from an input budget to an output results-oriented budget.
Yes, sir.
So what happens? You talk about the millions you spend on education, which is one of the largest. You talk about the millions you spend on healthcare, which is one of the largest. But where is the result?
Yeah, agreed.
Where is the result? If we don't begin to evaluate not just the output, but the impact the output has on the result, and that is where I think we are failing.
Gentlemen,
Producing
we've
results.
reached the end of the show. Bilal, it's been interesting. You have to come back and talk some more.
I would be delighted to. Yes,
We
man.
have lots of things to discuss. We have a lot of work to do. And in particular with that diaspora Belizean at home situation, we're making inroads, but we got a long road ahead.
A lot of work to do, brother.
And let's get to it. Let's stay on top of things, right?
Very much so.
All right. You have somebody say we need Mose on the show one day. I wish you well with that. He'll never come on with Spooner. He doesn't like Spooner at all. I don't know how I feel about Joe.
Before we leave, I would like to
Is that so, Spooners?
No, that's not true at all. That G Mike, you don't like, because they cut him off a crime every time he call up. They cut him off.
Before we close the show, I would like to designate.
You know, Bilal, you know somebody who you should interview is Hugh Fuller Jr. Do you know him?
Yes, man. Yes, man.
He's a DJ on Stevie Wonder's station. Yeah.
KJ Lynch. I listen to him every Saturday.
Oh,
Every
okay. All
Saturday.
right.
I listen to him.
Before we go, I just want to designate Mr. Bilal Amir as the de facto head of the diaspora.
He is actually. I see they just anointed somebody to.
So I think he's on the right track. I think that the ideas that he was expounding with us, I thought.
Well, he's been working on that for years, you know. And Bilal, he's not new to this. He's true to this.
I must give you the credit, Mr. Amir. I think I listened to a lot of the good things that I think you can develop, and I wish I could be with you.
Yeah, highly respected and appreciated, Minister Coy. Highly respected.
Are you back in America now, or are you living in Belize right now, Bilal?
I'm still living in Los Angeles, Spooner.
Okay, all right,
But
okay.
I make frequent trips. I'm working right now with the Belize Music Project with Ivan Duran. Through Niche, I come there to do work. I do work with the Belize City Council on my breaks from teaching. I'm there doing work, so I am very much involved. Always very much involved in the development of my country in the best possible way.
Well, next time in Belize, let's go for lunch. Me, you, G Mike, and Jose. Mr. Cowie.
I would
G
love
Mike will
that.
pick up the tab, no problem at all.
That's no
I
problem.
love
And I
that.
know Gregory's sport is due for a visit too. So
Yeah,
we're
Gregory,
doing it together, right? Guys, thanks a lot. See you next week, same time, same place. See why? We're done here.
All right, good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
See why alongside Wavy and my boy, YT.
All right. How do I
We
get
don't
out
need
of
no gimme for to make the lyrics popular. We don't need no fire pan, no stick, make it ball like a wig. Gonna jump up in the air, sound boy beware. We fling bow lyrics like fear. We don't need no gimme for to make the lyrics popular. We don't need no fire pan, no stick, make it ball like a wig. Gonna jump up in the air, sound boy beware. We fling bow lyrics like fear. Music, down now it's gone. And a toy, some boy me telling us you no must realize whole road done change. Watch me like the words out of my mouth is strange. Some you lyrics that I forget rearrange. You don't need money get hotter than pepper when you sing. Why you have to this song so bitter? You get opportunity with that responsibility to see reality. We don't need no gimme for to make the lyrics popular. We don't need no fire pan, no stick, make it ball like a wig. Jump up in the air, sound boy beware. We fling bow lyrics like fear. We don't need no gimme for to make the lyrics public. We don't need no fire. fire upon no stick, making it burn like Huawei. Gonna jump up in the air, some white beware. We fling bout lyrics like spear. Violence prevention, that will mention. Why you have to spit with so much bad intention? So I'm gonna say it, so sadly be. What's the seed far close to the G? You know, say retire of the negativity, plus you stay the complete. Even though you have dollars, they fall like green.